book we read. So in February, my patrons chose You Again by Kate Goldbeck, and I was so excited because this has been on my TBR since it came out last September. This is a contemporary romance about Josh and Ari, and it's set in New York City. Josh is a failing chef, and I literally cannot even remember what Ari did for work. Oh, she was a comedian. Guess she wasn't that funny, honestly. Anyway, they both meet because they were seeing the same woman back in the day. So I loved the bisexual representation in this, but I ended up giving it a 3-star, And if you want to see my full review and mini rants, join the Patreon. But I just didn't personally feel the connection between our main characters, Ari and Josh. I honestly just felt like Josh was kind of begging Ari to be with him a little bit, and she didn't know at all what she wanted. And also, Ari, as a bisexual woman, fits a stereotype that I don't like. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want to like spoil stuff that happens in the book, but I did like the writing style. It was reminiscent of like Ali Hazelwood, very quirky. But a lot of the references I did not get personally. I think they were like a little bit outdated for me, but overall I gave it 3 stars. I think it's just like an average romance read, but not a personal favorite of mine. And honestly, I think most of the people in the Patreon agreed with me. But obviously we had some people that DNF'd it, some people that gave it 5 stars, so you never know, but it was a 3-star for me. After that, I picked up an ARC advanced reader copy of a book called 3 Hearts Hideaway by Luna Day. I believe it's out now, so you can't get it to read, but I actually ended up DNFing this. This is the one book that I DNF'd, which sucks because obviously when you get an advanced copy, I was really excited to read it. But anyway, before I get into why I DNF'd it, let me tell you what it's about. So, I don't remember our main character, but she's a woman who ends up moving to this like small town and working at this like restoration design project on this bed and breakfast with these 2 guys, and it ends up being a why choose kind of romance where she falls in love with both of the men. And I didn't get far enough into the book, but I believe there's probably some, ménage à trois going on, some sword fighting, I hope. I don't know, but I was interested in like the why choose 1 girl, 2 guy, like why not have 2 boyfriend? If have 1 boyfriend, why not 2 boyfriend, So I applied for the ARC, but this book had my least favorite trope of all time. Say it with me now. 1, 2, 3. Insta-lust, insta-love. That vibe going on. I swear they were like literally, the smut started within the first 30 pages. That's not my vibe, really. I really want more of a slow burn, so I DNF'd it. But if you are looking for just like spicy from the jump, why choose romance with a gorgeous pink cover? Like, it is stunning. Maybe give it a shot. I didn't have any issues with the writing style, but again, I only read like 50 pages, so okay. Then I read another book on my Kindle. So I guess we'll get that out of the way. Do some mic brushing in the meantime. My neighbors are still, this is the like 4th day this week that they've played this dumbass lullaby music in the background. I think I'm gonna leave a note being like, hey, can you please play that in a different room? I don't know, but let me know if you hear it in the comments, if you think I should like ask them. I think it's to help their dog, but their dog still barks. Like, it honestly doesn't really do anything. But I think I'm just gonna maybe ask them to move it to a different room. I don't know. Gotta love having neighbors. And like ASMR, it's like It's a really popular thriller. It's called The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I might be butchering that last name a bit, I apologize. But I read this on a recommendation from my younger sibling, Gio. We love Gio. This is one of Gio's like favorite books. I think they gave it like 5 stars, and they really, really liked it. So they've been basically bugging me to read it for months, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So I read it, and it is a thriller about this man named Theo, who is a psychotherapist. And I studied psychology, so I really like books about therapists or just anything in that realm. But he ends up going in and becoming the therapist for this woman named Alicia, who a few years back, one day, shot her husband, killed him, and then never spoke another word. And so he's trying to like work with her to figure stuff out, and there's lots of twists and turns. I gave it this 3 stars. 3 stars. To me, I think it was just average, and I think the main thing that brought it down for me was how much I just did not understand, or like I didn't get the reasoning of our main character, Theo. And I'm just gonna say my Goodreads review because I feel like it sums up my feelings. If you've read the book, you'll know what I mean. But I would actually give this an alternate title, which is Man Gets Cheated On and Decides to Make It Everyone Else's Problem, featuring a lot of plot holes. There were a lot of like, I guess, red herrings, you know, like little side things that Theo would investigate or look into from Alicia's past when trying to like figure out why she killed her husband, you know. And then like they would like find out this random mystery with this random side character in Alicia's past, but then it would never come up again. It would never get explained, and we were just like supposed to pretend like it didn't. Like, I don't know. There was just a lot of unfinished plot holes by the end that I was like, okay, like the twist, I didn't guess the twist, but I don't think it was shocking enough or like succinct enough and wrapped up enough to like carry the book anything higher than a 3 stars for me. And now we can go back to physical books. The rest of the books that I read are physical. I'm really trying to get through my physical TBR, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job. So then I want to talk about, this is actually the last book I read in February, but I want to talk about it right now because it's my favorite read of the month is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. So I have been recommended this by a few of my friends, IRL, and I bought the duology. The second book's called Vengeful. It's the Villains duology, but I bought it like for my birthday last year, and it's been on my shelf for like a year, but I don't know. I got the audiobook through my library. It came in, like I had it on hold, and the hold came in, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna listen to it, let's do it. It's been on my TBR for a while. I finished this in 2 days. I tapped the ever-living shit out of it, as you can tell. And it's, ever since I finished it, it's honestly all I can think about. Like, I've tried to read other books, but it's hard because I just keep thinking about these characters. So this book, Vicious, it follows 2 boys, Victor and Eli. They are in college together. College. They are pre-med students. Victor and Eli discover that if you have a near-death experience and you have the right amount of adrenaline and fear, so they kind of like combine their thesis, their papers, that you might be able to come back the writing, this is my first book. My first book by P.E. Schwab, and her writing is so brilliant. I just think like the conversations that this book starts about heroes versus villains and good versus evil and death and guns and the police, and there's just so many things I could say, but again, I don't want to go too far into it, but I loved every character in this. Every character had their own backstories and motivations, and when you get into the different abilities, because obviously it's a fantasy book, there's going to be abilities, everyone's different ability, and the way it ties with their personalities was so fucking cool. And yeah, my favorite characters are Victor and Serena. I loved their characters so much, but they're all great. I loved Sydney, I loved Dole, I loved Mitch. Eli was there, but yeah, so good. Loved it. So I gave it 5 stars. If you couldn't guess, 5 stars. 5 stars. So if you're looking for a book about villains and you want like an urban fantasy sci-fi vibe with a little bit of a thriller mystery tone about villainous boys, villainous people, pick it up. It is so good. So yeah, definitely my favorite read of the month for sure. I even made like a playlist on Spotify, and that's how you know I'm obsessed. Like, that's how you know. Afterwards, I read Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I actually got this book based off of a subscriber recommendation because on my vlog channel, linked below, I did a video where I read my subscribers' favorite books of 2023 from last year. So I just posted it like last week. But this is one of the books I read in that video. And this is a small town romance that was published in like 2016. So it's been around for years. I've heard about it for years. And I feel like it's just a classic in the romance community, the romance reader community. So it's about a woman named Bree, who is escaping a pretty troubled past when she moves to this really small town and meets a boy named Archer, who is mute. He does not speak because he also had a very troubled past, and they kind of bond over that. They both speak sign language, so they bond, and there's also like a kind of suspenseful, like dramatic subplot going on in the town, and there's like with Archer's past and this accident that happened, and they think there might have been some foul play, you know, so this may look like a cute little small town romance, but So that's funny. We can kind of just go through them. We'll start with Girl Abroad. This is our new release that came out in February, so I picked it up when it came out. I do love the Barnes & Noble pink exclusive cover. It's like, I'm just a sucker for a pink book. But this was on my anticipated releases for 2024, so I knew I wanted to read it when it came out. It's about a girl named Abby who goes to study abroad in London and moves in with, like, the dorm situation gets kind of messed up, so she ends up moving in with two guys, and there's like a love triangle between one of her roommates and then this other guy that she meets who's like in a band. And I was so excited for this because I liked like the new girl vibe. I thought the love triangle was gonna be between the roommates. It wasn't. But there also ended up being like 3 or 4 like mini other love interests. Like every person in this book was obsessed with Abby, and she was the most like average person. She even says like, why do all these guys like me? And I'm like, girl, I don't know. But anyway, this got a 2.5 star from me because it is a London romance, okay? It is a like love triangle London romance. And she ends up with a goddamn Australian. Like, that shit just pissed me off. I'm so sorry. Neither of the love interests were good. This is supposed to be a romance book, but nothing in the romance gave what it needed to give. So I would not recommend. I would skip out on this one and stick to her hockey romances probably. Then I wanted a redemption, and I've had Rogue sitting on my shelf for a while. This is the second book in the prep series, and I gave the first book 4 stars. It was very fun, very unserious, but very fun. It's about like prep school kids, and they're just like privileged and awful, very Gossip Girl vibe. And so this is the second book, and the first book ended on a wild cliffhanger, so like I had high hopes for this, and I wanted an Elle Kennedy redemption, so I picked this up after finishing Girl Abroad, and unfortunately it also got a 2.5 star rating. It's funny because I can't tell you anything really about the specifics, but this follows Casey, who is the sister of the character from the first book. But she was involved in a really, really bad accident a few years back, where there was like, she was in a car accident, and then like the person that was in the accident with her literally left her to die. But she survived, and so there's like this like mystery drama going on with that. That was interesting. But Casey in this book finds herself in yet again another love triangle. Elle Kennedy loves a love triangle. And yet again, I think Elle Kennedy made her end up with the wrong guy. She never picks the right guy in these damn love triangles because, like, ugh. It's just, yeah. I just think the main character, Casey, I think she deserved so much better. So much fucking better. And the love interest that she ended up with was a loser. But all's well that ends well, because my last 2 reads of the month, or at least of this video, I guess. I read them in like the middle of the month, but anyway, the last 2 books that I read in February are I just feel like everyone hates this book. They shit on this book. People even skip it, which is wild. Like, do not do that. You must read this. But so 3.5 is actually like, I kind of expected maybe I wouldn't like it that much. I didn't care for the two main characters that this follows. Like, in terms of all the Throne of Glass characters, they're not my favorite. Chaol and Nesrin. But Irene is like a side character that ends up like being a big role. She like flourished in this book, and I honestly think she carried this book for me. Like, I just loved hearing about Irene and her whole journey, and I just have a soft spot for her, so I really liked it. But I can't say anything other than that, obviously, because we're so far in the series. I don't want to spoil. But yeah, so 3.5 stars. But then last, but certainly not least, Empire of Storms is the second ever book for me to give Sarah J. Maas 5 stars, and it's the first 5-star that I gave any of the books in the Throne of Glass series. Wow! So, if you're curious, my other 5-star is A Court of Silver Flames, because I love me a mean woman who goes through a mental health journey. Okay, A Court of Silver Flames, like, really is like, it touched me. But this, I think, in terms of like plot, in terms of characters, in terms of the ways that Assassin's Blade, the motherfucking prequel novel, the ways that it connects to this book, like, so far in, is the best. This is definitely the best Sarah J. Maas book I have read thus far, and it is not close. It's really not close. There are so many fun, different storylines going on. There's so many characters, there's so many couples, so many romances, but I loved pretty much all of them, and I was never bored, and there's so much action, and I just, yeah, it's definitely my favorite book in this series so far, and I think my favorite Sarah J. Maas book in terms of like quality that I've read. So a good 5-star. My favorite characters are Aelin, Dorian, and Manon. I have a special place in my heart for Dorian. Whew, that. Anyway, so yeah. With that being said, that brings us to my current read, which is the final book in the series at a whopping over 900 pages. My current read is Kingdom of Ash. So I will likely finish this in March and finish the Throne of Glass series, which is bittersweet. It's bittersweet. But yeah, so I have started this. I'm like 300 pages in. You can see with my tabs. And I don't know. Stay tuned, I guess. Subscribe, turn on your post notifications, and stay tuned for my March reading wrap up if you want to see how I feel about this, how I feel about the conclusion,